Hello, welcome to CLSB Politics. Sean Briscoe speaking. So, as some of you know, I'm a Texan, and this flooding in the Hill Country is just absolutely terrible. I have camped out there. Those are camps that I know. That's territory I know very well. I was a Boy Scout in Texas, so the Hill Country is kind of the more interesting part of Texas to go camping in, and it's very pretty. And this is just a huge tragedy. But what's interesting is they did some polling. The AP NRC poll, February through June, uh, asked a couple of very interesting questions. Should the federal government have a major role in tracking weather events and warning people about them? So, of all of the people polled, 70% said yes and 30% said no. Hmm. When you look at it by party, 80% of Democrats responded yes, and 66% of Republicans responded yes. Should the government provide aid to affected communities and help with rebuilding efforts? This was probably the strongest positive response. Of 80% said yes, and 20% said no. Should the government have a key role in combating climate change to try and prevent extreme weather worsening? 56% said yes, and 44% said no. When broken down by party, 80% of Democrats said yes, 30% of Republicans said no. This is the point where the Republican rhetoric starts to take lives. Do you trust the National Weather Service and their local weather report? 40%, this is all before the Texas floods. We don't have any data post flood on this issue, but 40% were extremely or very confident that the service reports would be accurate, and 40% said somewhat. So basically 80%, 8 and 10 said, yeah, I can look at my app on my phone and trust what I'm reading. This is also before confidence in FEMA. 60% were either extremely, very, or somewhat confident in FEMA. It breaks down 2040. So the majority of people have confidence in FEMA. And this is before the floods. This is also after Trump's taken over FEMA. So they've watched Kansas not get any help. They've watched other parts of the US not get any help. So I'm going to try and find some numbers that show what this has been like over a longer period of time and track that, because I think that the Republicans, and specifically the Trump administration, and honestly, those Republicans in Congress that are defunding different government groups here across the country, are going to have to take responsibility for what FEMA is going to look like, especially as we get closer to these hurricane seasons. In hurricane season, some of you don't know this, I've lived through 13 typhoons and a couple of hurricanes. At this point, it's starting to feel like Mother Nature's been taking it kind of personally. But I have lived through 13 typhoons because I grew up on Guam, and Guam gets hit by a lot of typhoons. And the years I were there, we got hit by a lot. We got hit by 5 in 1 year. And if you look up worst typhoons ever, there's always a few of them that were on Guam. And if it was in the 90s, I guarantee you I was there. It was brutal. We didn't have power for about a year almost. So I know how to grill very, very well. But FEMA did show up. And we were a small island out in the middle of nowhere. So it's more difficult to get the resources. Whereas you can get bucket trucks in from Oklahoma into Texas. There's no place to get bucket trucks. The only trucks you got are the ones that are there and the ones the military are shipping in. That was the only help we got. So it's a different environment. But I've been through quite a few of those storms, and FEMA is incredibly important. I mean, I just can't even tell you. There were many weeks where I don't think I would have eaten without FEMA. That's facts. Along with most of the other people on the island. But then you look at Florida and North Carolina and all the horrible storms that Georgia and all of those places have been hit by, it's really you've got to really take that stuff into consideration, because these decisions that are being made by these Republicans are going to backfire, guaranteed. For one thing, guaranteed Republicans cannot govern. Every time they do, they shut the government down. Some giant disaster happens. What, 9 out of 10 major economic downturns have happened under Republican administrations, and they're responsible for 80% of the debt. I mean, I don't understand how or why the talking point exists that Republicans are better at running government and managing the money, because none of the data shows that. But here we are. So it's my hope that that they look at what happened in Texas, and the fact that Texas decades ago turned down the money for the sirens. Republicans have been in charge of Texas for 40 years. There's no way you can blame that on Biden. But they are responsible for any warning systems we currently have. They're also responsible for other good things that have happened in Texas the last 40 years. But it's really the bad things that people remember. So hope everyone appreciated this information. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. If you wish to support this channel, we have a PayPal at CLSP Politics. All right. You guys have a good day. Bye.